everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome to your home-based meetup for today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And this is Thursday, May the 5th, 2022 for our home-based meetup for Canvas. We've got some opening slides to go over today, and for that, I'm going to turn it over to our home-based manager, which is Matthew Mayo.
Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's had a great week. My name is Matthew Mayo, the new home-based manager, and I'm looking forward to working with each and every one of you as we continue to grow and look at our home-based tools together. Just a couple of housekeeping updates for this morning. Please make sure your microphone is muted. Your camera, of course, is more than welcome to have it on or off. And don't forget the chat feature. So if you have any questions throughout today's presentation, the home-based team is here to answer any questions that you may have. And then, of course, at the bottom, we now have captions now available. So if you want to turn that on, feel free to do that as well. Just to review, our purpose for our home-based meetups is to foster those positive, productive field-based relationships, communication between our PSUs together. And then always we want to elicit that feedback from the field to inform state-level decisions as we continue to make those. And then just provide that collaborative time for us to problem solve, to network together, and to grow with each other. Of course, our home-based products are made up of our SIS, our instructional improvement system, our learning management system, our OER, our NESIS, which we had earlier this week, and digital literacy and supplemental math with Imagine Math as well. Throughout the week, this has been a busy week with home-based meetups. So all the presentation links are located here. If you'll notice, there's not one there for Power School because we had to move that to tomorrow. So join us tomorrow for our Power School home-based meetup, and we'll have those links in there together. So if you want to take advantage of those slides, those are available for you there. So this again is our home-based meetup schedule that we've had for the week. And the next thing is just kind of reviewing where we have been together over the year. All of our home-based meetups this year have been virtual. So we are finishing up the 21-22 school year right now. And as just a reminder, this Friday we will not have Go Open, but we will have a Power School home-based meetup this Friday. So you should have received that bulletin from Yolanda Wilson earlier this week. Go ahead and save the date. So we already have the dates ready for next year. And so we're extremely happy to go ahead and give these to you early. But also you'll notice there's some smiling emojis on here. So we're extremely excited to get back out and get back to some sense of normalcy. So we will have home-based meetups in the new school year in a hybrid method. And so if you are willing to, if your PSU can host us to come out, please let us know. We are begging you. I know this is the end of the school year and a lot's going on, and we're about to get in that wonderful testing mode. But before we get in that testing mode, it'd be awesome to for you to maybe talk with some of your leaders and see if it's possible for you to host one of our face-to-face home-based meetups. If you can, there is a home-based meetup hosting form, but there's also the wonderful Yolanda Wilson's email address is on there too, so she can hook you up as well. Next up, just a couple of reminders here. The home-based opt-in tool has been taken offline as of last Friday, and so that will return currently scheduled for May 16th. So there is a hyperlink in here for the home-based opt-in website. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to contact us, and we will be more than happy to get back with you on that. Other home-based meetup updates today is NC Ed Cloud for our littles. That's the QR code and pictograph logins for our pre-K 5. There is information there on that hyperlink, and also for you to be able to opt into that process as well. Other updates, I don't believe Cynthia Sartain is on the call today, but she did want us to let you know that Britannica and EBSCO resources are moving. And so this is a great thing, I think. All of their resources will be moving to NC Ed Cloud. And so that transition is taking place there, but educators will receive all the resources that they have normally received, and just take advantage of these high quality resources available to you and your teachers and your students. So please help us get the word out that EBSCO and Britannica have now moved. Cynthia also has put in here a hyperlink for educators, students, and parents guidance, some leveled information with resources there. There's also some guidance in there for the optional EBSCO and Britannica student and teacher accounts to be set up with resources there. And of course, she's got the toolkit in there as well. But if you have any questions about EBSCO and Britannica, I know Cynthia Sartain will be more than willing and more than happy to come tell you more about those resources that are now in NC EdCloud. If you don't have summer plans, we've got summer plans for you. And so we're going from the mountains to the coast for 2 solid weeks. This is coming to a region near you. And so beginning July 11th, we'll kick off our Eastern cohort. NC Bold will be all about our best of the best, sharing resources from teachers and our home-based team, and so many others will be joining us as we share this. Please note, as we are doing this on this summer roadshow, you are more than welcome to attend more than one. Obviously, you won't be able to attend all the sessions in one day anyway, so feel free to hop in the car and join us on this road trip together this summer. So please mark those dates, and also let your teachers and administrators know too about these exciting opportunities coming around the corner to a region near you. SchoolNet Transcend for the 22-23 school year. If you're interested in this, if you would please contact Yolanda or Dr. Dietrich there as well. And then Canvas, don't forget to remember to complete your rollover form. Today's home-based meetup is brought to you by Corey McNeil and the great Canvas things that he's doing. So you'll learn even more just a little bit about that. And then we continue to look at Go Open to be the one-stop shop for resources. And so our new social studies standards are now in Go Open. Take advantage of those as well. Early this week, you heard from Cami and Aaron. I'm talking more about NESIS, but they have implemented a district administrator central office view-only role for superintendents to be able to view all staff plans and view all staff as well. If you need any training, I know Cami is ready and willing to help you out with any of this. So please, this goes beyond NESIS, but if you need any help, please reach out to our team. We are ready to help and serve in any capacity that we can. Last couple of things here is if you didn't know it, we are all over social media. So hopefully one of these ways, these social media means is a way for us to connect to you. And so we constantly keep these things updated as we share resources in between our home-based meetups. So you can find more information by hitting us up on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, and also the following hashtags as well. Last but surely not least, here is a list of your digital teaching learning home-based team. And so all those are hyperlinked for our email addresses are in there. Please contact us at any time. We are ready to serve you in any capacity. Last but not least, feedback is always a gift, and we do consider that a true gift. There is a hyperlink there, and Corey will remind you before you leave today, but we please take just a few minutes to fill out that feedback form. We do take this seriously as we look for continuous improvement in all the things that we're doing here. Again, thank you so much for being here. I know it's a hectic time of school year, but I know that you're in good hands today and you're going to learn some awesome things together. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. I am going to momentarily stop sharing my screen so I can switch slide decks here. But I did want to also go ahead and put in the chat again for anybody who's joined us since we started. Those are the links to the opening slides that we just finished and the Canvas slides that I'm going to walk you guys through today. All right. So these, if you don't know where you are, if you're not in the right class, you're in your Canvas home-based meetup. So sorry if you just hung out for the wrong meetup, but you're going to learn something anyway. So we're going to have a good time today. So hope you all are doing well. I'm excited. It's that time of the year where we're starting to wrap things up and move forward. So today's agenda, we're doing some welcomes introductions. I've got some Canvas updates for you. I've got some NCDPI updates, and then we're going to talk about some options for using summer school in Canvas and how you can set that up in some ways. And that's going to kind of dovetail into the summer cleanup options, but I'm going to give some opportunities from Q&A in between to kind of break that up. So that's what we're going to walk through today. So if you don't mind, in the chat, please, will you please share with us your name, your role, and what PSU or school you're representing with us today? Because I'd love to always know who's on the call and hanging out with us. So I'm going to pause for that to give you an opportunity to do that. Awesome. We've got some directors, we got ITFs, we got DTL team. That's exciting. Awesome. Well, always glad to have you here. I like to think I'm a fun time, and you can laugh at my jokes or not. That's okay. I'll laugh at them, and we'll just have a good time and hang out together because I think this should be a good time for us to talk about Canvas, things that we're seeing, and what we're doing overall. So, starting off first with some Canvas updates, and if you were on the statewide call on Monday, this might be a little bit of duplicate work. It just happened this week that the statewide call and the DPI home-based meetups fell on the same week. But I wanted to go over them in case some people were not able to make the statewide call. So these are the deploy notes that came out on April the 27th. So these are already in place in your instances or available in your instances. So the user observer dashboard update. So those now that have students who may exist in an elementary school, if you're going to roll out Canvas for elementary, and may have a student who's in a secondary environment. So those observer dashboards are now going to match what the students see. So that's a greater alignment there that I think we're glad to see that the parents who are supporting and working with their childs, those dashboards are going to mimic each other. Selecting the module drop-down menu when you update. So now when you're doing that direct share, you can get more granular when you're sharing your content from direct share from one existing course to another. And then Mastery Pass location updates. So these have been moved. These settings have been moved. So now they're under your account and course settings. So make sure that you see on this screenshot and the next slide. Come on, go. Now Shana shows you where those new settings are. So if you're looking for that, I know I've talked with several of you about doing some Mastery Path training this summer and moving into next school year for your teachers. So know that those checkboxes and those settings have moved. The last thing from those deploy notes is if some of you are exploring course pacing, some of those features have been changed. And I know, and I think I saw Ashley on here, but I think we talked about this on the call on Monday. So the course pacing is not necessarily something that I would recommend for a student-facing course, but if you're doing something that's like a self-paced PD course where it's automatically going to adjust those due dates. So let's say I enroll at the first of the month and you have, the first assignment is due within the first 10 days or 5 days or whatever that may be. That course pacing feature allows you to kind of set those on X number of days. So something to look at there if you're looking at designing some self-paced PD courses moved forward. Yes, and that's right. Thank you, Ashley. So yeah, grade passback will also not work with that. So definitely something you wouldn't necessarily want to use with student facing, but certainly something you could use with teacher professional development based courses. The release note, so this is coming up for this month. So I know that we're looking out and closing out the school year, but just things to think about here again as you move into summer for your professional development. In addition to that observer dashboards, you can then filter based on students. So here again, if I have more than one child in a school system that's using Canvas, I as the parent / observer can toggle between those two students to get different dashboard experiences. So if I've got a high schooler that's using the card or the index feature, and I've got an elementary or a little that's using Canvas for elementary, I can toggle with a drop down to see those different experiences for my students. And then one that I'm very excited about is the fill in blank question type for the rich content editor and new quizzes. So this is allow you to use some what I'm going to call light coding, if you will, to make this work. And by that, I really just mean using some quotes. So if you see here on the next screenshot, you'll see the ability to use a drop down, and I can give the possible choices. And then I'll show you on the next slide where it's kind of can be a fill in the blank, but I'm using those quotes to indicate what the variable is going to be or the blank is going to be that students are going to answer in that quiz. So here, kind of the same thing. It's open entry where it contains the word red for the question. So that's a great option for fill in the blank. I know that's something that a lot of teachers have been asking for when it comes to new quizzes. Is the course pacing switched on by individuals or Canvas admin? I might tap Ashley to answer this question, but I think it's an admin setting that you'd have to enable for your instance. Yep. Okay. Awesome. So yeah, so I don't think it's something you teachers can innately access. You'd have to turn that on for your instance before they would see that option. Any other questions about any of the updates? I think this is the last slide on Canvas updates before I move forward. Okay, that's the best I can do with wait time, y'all. Oh, last thing. So Instructurecon. So make sure that you know that Thursday, July the 14th is the date for Instructurecon. It is virtual again this year. And the link there on this slide has you the ability to sign up to get information and registration alerts. That is one of the days for NC Bold. So make sure that you're cognizant of that when you're communicating that with your staff. So that's where I'll be, unfortunately, instead of hanging out with Instructurecon. But I know that there'll be some great things that you can still get post recordings of. NCDPI updates. Just as a reminder, if you are not leveraging the Canvas Google Admin Google group, this is a group that you can join that allows you guys to kind of have conversations, pose questions. If you're out there and it's running into an issue, I'm on there with you guys, so sometimes I can answer questions or point you towards a resource. But it's a great way for y'all to be able to communicate with each other in kind of that asynchronous fashion. And then please make sure that you have gone into this Google Sheet and updated your Canvas contacts. I'm just trying to make sure that I keep an active list of who is in your district and who's your support in case I need to reach out to a specific PSU in regards to Canvas or anything else. EOI updates. Please make sure that you have received the email about your SIS rollover when they were talking about that on a statewide call on Monday, that those should have already gone out. So if you haven't received it, I would strongly recommend it. If you have a dedicated CSM, reach out to them, or if not, reach out to the priority service team. And that email there is in that first bullet. So make sure that you have that. That will indicate when you are moving over or pausing your sync and resuming it based on what your district needs or your PSU needs. So make sure you filled that out. As a reminder, right now the go live date, unless I have heard anything different this week for PowerSchool EOY, is June the 29th. So that's when we're going to kick off EOY and roll things over for the school year. And in addition to that, as an update, I know we had some issues last fall when we came back from EOY with a lot of SIF agent issues. So I have made a request from PowerSchool as a part of the process for EOY that everyone's SIF agent be restarted so that everyone kind of gets a fresh, clear the cache kind of situation to bringing that back up. So hopefully that limits the number of issues that we experience coming back from EOY. Any questions about EOY updates? Okay. All right. So this is our first. Oh, well, hmm. Let's see. I might pick on somebody on my call for more that knows more about PowerSchool than I do. Just Matthew or John, do either of you know what is our anticipated length of downtime for PowerSchool?
I can't say exactly, but I can say we aim for the shortest amount of downtime as possible, at most a week, but hopefully less than that.
Okay.
Well, yeah, what John said, this is Cammy. I think they were looking at the 6th to come back up, but it's always tentative. July 6th to come back up.
Yeah. I know that it's variable sometimes, but I didn't know if we had a target date. So possibly the 6th, Ron.
Yeah.
But as all things subject to change. Because I know there's a lot of moving pieces with that, I'm sure. It's just the SIS, right? Any other questions? All right, friends. This is our first kind of like breakout activity, and I hope I've set these rooms up right, but if not, that's okay. We'll work with it. So in a feedback form that you guys sent, I sent out to you guys, I want to say around December, January-ish. A lot of people have expressed the interest of having regional Canvas meetings. So I'm all on board with that, and I know Matthew and Dr. Dietrich are certainly up for that. So I didn't really have a way in my mind about how to get that out to you all, so I figured using this time would be the best to do that. So what I have linked in this slide, and I'm going to put it in the chat in just a second, is give us the opportunity to go into our regions and have a conversation around, okay, that link is what I know to be my calendar for 22, 23. Of course, like I just said, with Power School subject to change. And give us the opportunity to say as a region, you know, hey, if you would like to have a meeting with me, or if you would like to get together on your own, you know, it doesn't have to be with me. That's totally fine. We can do those in person. We can do those virtually, whatever you would like. So with that being said, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here for a second and jump into my notes here and say, here is the link to that document. And I'm going to open the breakout rooms. And of course, it didn't keep any of the names. That's so nice of it. So I put 8 breakout rooms, and I'll share my screen again. So the idea would be that, you know, breakout room 1 is northeast, 2 southeast, so on and so forth through 8, which is the western region. If you know that you might be, if you go into your breakout room and you're the only person from your region, I would encourage you to join a breakout session that is next to you. So if you're the only person for the Piedmont Triad, maybe whatever is closest to you. So southwest, northwest. So I want to give you some time to do that. Has the information that I've given you guys generated any questions about what we're getting ready to do? Okay. I'm going to hang out in the main room. My team, I would ask you just kind of disperse yourselves amongst the breakout rooms to maybe facilitate any questions, and let me know if I needed to jump into a room. So we're going to do this for, I'm going to give you guys, let's say 10 to 15 minutes. If welcome to come back to the room if you've reached a consensus about where we're going to go. So you should be seeing those breakout rooms open. It's a little like grid button for you to join your region. All right. So I think we have just about everybody back in the main room. I hope that was meaningful. So I always try to make sure I give time for these calls for you all to connect and communicate with each other. So even if it wasn't talking about this or just having some questions and discussion, I think it's important for you to collaborate as a region. And I know those boundaries may not how you guys function, because I know there's RESAs and then there's the regions, and that all gets very confusing for me. I'm geographically challenged enough as it is. So if you did fill out that document, thank you for picking out a time. Or if there's something else that you want to reach out to me specifically about, what I wanted to be intentional about is making you know that I have a desire to work with you all as much as I can, or as much as you want me to be out in the field and not be in Raleigh all the time. So if there's something I can do to help you in any way, shape, or form, if this wasn't it, that feedback form at the end of today's meeting certainly is a way you can communicate that. But we want you to know that the home base team is reaching out and want to make sure we partner with you in any way that we can to support you guys.
Hey, Corey, sorry to interrupt
Yes.
you. This is James.
Hey, James.
Group, hey, hope you're doing well. In our group for Piedmont Triad, we picked a date and we were looking, but I didn't see like a way to like put what date we were interested in on there. Can you help clarify that in case I didn't listen?
I thought I said it so you guys could edit, but I think if you just want to put it in those text columns next to the month that it applies to, that is totally fine. And like I said, if something comes up and you guys have access to this in the future, if you put something on here, you know, you go back and talk with your team or whatever that may be. If you'll just shoot me an email to let me know, I'll try to keep an eye on this as well. But what I don't want to do is you guys pick a date and then I don't know that it's on here or something that's come up. But yeah, just like that is totally fine. But feel free to use this going forward. I'll keep an eye on it and know that but I wanted to have a way for you guys to have some transparency about how I can support you in any way. Thank you, James. I appreciate it. Any other questions or comments come from your time as a region? Okay. So we're going to move on, and let me go back to sharing my screen. And I'm actually not going to jump back into the presentation mode because I'm going to be doing a couple things with some different tabs. So setting up in summer school. So I know everyone does summer school differently, but I wanted to open up a time for us to have some conversations about, I know several of you, obviously, since you use Canvas, maybe utilizing it for summer school. And I know we have some people on the call who are first-time admins, and so this may be their first summer school experience. Obviously, since what we just talked about with Power School pausing, there's not any real provisioning and stuff that takes place during the summer. So when we're talking about setting up things for classes in summer school, of course, you can do all of that manually, but there's a lot of ways that we can use some sys imports to speed up that process. So what I was going to walk everyone through today, we're showing some examples and some links to some resources about how you can set that up for yourselves. This guide is a link to how to format your CSV files and uploading that. So if I've already scared you by saying CSV, it's okay. Like, you got this. You can do this. Trust me. If I learned how to do it, anybody can do it. So when I open this link, it takes us to this Instructure knowledge base document, which kind of walks you through the CSV process. So just walking through, a CSV is really just a common separated value. It's an Excel spreadsheet that's formatted just a little differently on the back end. The first row always needs to be your headers. So those are going to be what comes from Canvas. So we're going to talk about what those are and setting those up. So like coming back to our purpose is why would we talk about this? So when we think about, all of the schools and students and teachers that you may have working in summer school, it might be a lot of users, especially, in my former district, that was, anywhere from 50 to 100 teachers and a couple thousand students. So I didn't have the time as an admin to set all that by hand, and I didn't want to expect that of my teachers. So I wanted to help them as much as I could to get along the process. There are a couple different files that you can set up. The user one is not really one that you would need, but we do need to create some courses and we need to create some enrollments. So what are the steps that I would think through to do that? So I like to put everything into a term. So if you've never created a term before, because those automatically come from Power School, I would recommend creating a summer school term, an example, summer 2022. And then that's going to allow you to put all of those courses in that term. So everything's kind of bundled up nicely together and kind of keeping your instance clean as you move through the process. So when I'm inside of my Canvas instance, I go to my admin tab, I click on my school system or PSU, and you come down to terms. And these are all my terms. Yours has lots of terms because what comes over from Power School, but down at the very bottom is an add new term. And I'm just going to call it summer 2022. It's also very important that you fill in this sys ID and you don't leave it blank. So I'm just going to copy and paste, not that. Copy and paste that summer 2022. It's not necessary to fill out the term runs date, but if you're OCD like me, you probably want to fill it out. So I'm going to say, it is June 1st through, I hate that it does that. Shoot. July 31st. And I've created that term. Now, it's going to fall here at the top, but when the page refreshes, it usually puts them in alphabetical order. So you can see this term, I've created it. That's step one. The next thing, when we go back to our steps here, establishing that naming convention. Here again, this is a thing for me because I want all my teachers to understand, and anybody who may ever come into my instance after me to understand what are these courses for. So I just usually use the term, the teacher's last name, and then I said 4 because maybe like it's a 4th grade class. some unique variable that you can set up for each one of those classes. And then we need to create a courses file to import. And it's really great from Canvas. They'll give you these example files that you can download right out of this slide deck. And when I bring this over, come here, you, Galloway, you can see, not this one, excuse me, so sorry. WebEx, you are not being, oh, because I have this file is named the same thing. That's why. So here you can see the course ID, short name, long name, account, term, all of those things. These main things right there are the things you want to fill out. So this is where I would give an example of course ID, and I would make them really the same as my short name and my long name. So here again, summer 22, McNeil, and let's say it's, you know, that fourth period or that fourth grade. I'm going to make those the same. Account ID, you're going to put that as, you can put it as 1, or you can really omit that. I don't think you necessarily need that. The term, so we just created that term, so it's summer 22. Is that what I called it? No. 2022. See, that's why your sys ID is important. And we're going to set that to active. And this, all this is saying is create me a course that's titled this, summer 2022, McNeil 4. Put it under the term 2022 and make sure that course is active. And you essentially just build this spreadsheet for all the courses that you need. And that's going to get all of your shells for all of the courses that your summer school may need. So depending on who your teachers are, and if you don't know who the teachers are going to be yet, you could obviously just use the school's name or any other unique variable to just knowing that your course short name and long name need to be unique in that course ID. So all three of these can be the same for that row, but they need to be unique throughout your entire spreadsheet. So once I've generated that, our next step is to import that. So how do I import that? Well, when I go into my admin tab under sys imports, you have the ability to import a file right here. And if you want more specific documentation on how to generate a sys import, if you'll click on this hyperlink, it'll give you a lot of more information. And so about how to generate those files. I'm going to choose that file and I'm going to hit process. The great thing that it'll do is it's going to tell you what went well and what didn't. So sometimes, you know, if this is your first time doing it, I would try just doing a course or just one file to make sure that, or one row to make sure it imports, and it'll tell you what happened. So I did a sys import a couple days ago and it generated 4 new users. That was what it did for me. And then you can see that information. So as I would build out that file, you can see those courses and then they're generated. The last step that you have to do is then create an enrollment. So now that I've got those courses, I need to create an enrollments file that's going to show me what all of those users look like. So as you open that example file, you can see here that course ID, that root account you don't necessarily have to have. Their user ID, remembering that user ID is not login ID. So remembering that for students, it's their DC ID in PowerSchool. And for teachers, it's also their DC ID. And then what role they'll have. So you could have teachers and students in the same role, in the same spreadsheet, just knowing that they need the role that's appropriate to them, teacher or student. You probably wouldn't use TA or designer or observers, but you would copy that information over and then you upload that through the same sys import process, and you're just going to put those teachers and students under that file. So that is a very, very fast and quick explanation of kind of how you can set up summer school using those sys imports and the CSVs that Canvas provides as an example. I want to pause here and open up the floor for questions and comments, and anyone who maybe has done this before, if I have overlooked something that maybe someone wants to share as a knowledge. Okay. You can't say I didn't give you a chance. So that's just, like I said, if you are apprehensive about doing this, this is maybe your first time doing this, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to hop on a call with you and kind of walk through this with you and setting this up for your first time. Like I said, it made my life a lot easier to do in this method, supporting the number of sites and users that were going to be using Canvas for summer school in my former district. So I wanted to share that as something to think about as we move forward. If you're watching the recording, same thing goes. If you want to reach out to me, I'm happy to help any way that I can. So moving into our next thing, which is Q&A. So I am going to put in the chat the link to our Padlet that we use for Q&A time. And I'm also going to pause the recording. Hi everyone. I know if you're watching the recording that we just did the Q&A for the home base meetup, and I unfortunately forgot to resume the recording to get the second half of our session together. So I'm just doing this quick little overview. So this is probably not everything in depth that we talked about in the meetup, and so I do apologize for that, but please know you can always reach out to me if you have any questions about what I'm going to go over here real quick. So the thing that I really explained as the last part of our home-based meetup was going over some summer cleanup strategies about how to clean up those terms and courses that exist year over year over year. So the Canvas does a really great job of kind of like archiving that in this article that I kind of walked the users through that were in our call today about creating an archive term, running some reports to figure out what courses we needed to archive, preparing a course import file to remove that information. So make sure that you read this very carefully, understand those steps, and then uploading that file into your instance to move all of those courses. So say, for example, I as an admin would be looking at removing, say, the 18-19 school year data. So consolidating all of that into one term, it's called 18-19 archive, and moving all the courses from the various terms that exist, because you have a year long, a quarters, a semester for a school. So there's a lot of terms that exist in your instance. So moving all of those into one archive term kind of lets you clean that up. And the one optional step is you could also do an enrollments file that would delete all of those enrollments. So for me, I did this as an admin so that my teachers and students wouldn't see their old courses from several years ago. Maybe like for the first year or two. So like, for example, they would still see 2021 or 1920, but maybe even further back, I removed those enrollments, but I as an admin held on to them for maybe another year or two so that if I needed to get back into something that I could. The one thing that I will tell you is before you go doing this is that you don't want to do it with the year you just concluded, because some of that gradebook information you may still need, even though we store that in PowerSchool for historical grades. You may want to hold on to that for purposes for a little while, because once you move them out of that term, the gradebook information goes away. It's disassociated in those courses. Like I said, I apologize for not having this included in the original recording, but I wanted to at least give that overview. Please know you can always reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns about cleaning up your data in Canvas. I'm happy to hop on a call or come out to your site and have a conversation about that. Thanks so much. Hope you're doing great. Bye.